Yeah, it's mindset cafe, we all about that mindset. Gotta stay focused, never settle for less. It's all in your head, how you think you manifest. So get ready to rise, cause we about to be the best. Gotta switch it up, gotta break the old habits. Get your mind right, turn your dreams into habits. No negative vibes, only positive thoughts.
What is up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Mindset Cafe podcast. It's your boy, Devin, and today we have a special guest. I am honored to welcome Victoria Rader. You know, she is a PhD. She is a globally recognized possibility coach. And honestly, it's pretty cool because she's an award-winning author as well. She's done transformational speaking engagements. She is the pioneer of quantum personal development, as well as the founder of U2 Shine. So on top of all of that, Victoria has really created a groundbreaking tools for empowerment, for mastering things in so many different aspects of personal development. So I'm excited to really dive in and explore her story and what she's, really doing in the personal development space as well, to really emphasize that, because that's what we're all about here on the Mindset Cafe. So thank you so much, Victoria, for taking the time out of your day to come on and drop some knowledge.
Thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to this.
So let's start off, what's your journey been up to this point, right? What's a little bit of background, a little bit about you, but how did you get to where you currently are?
I think most of us, when we look back, our whole life starts making more and more sense and falls into alignment. And so the honest answer would be, in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth, because that's kind of where it belongs, jokes aside. But I was born in the former Soviet Union in Ukraine, and grew up there. And I caught the end of the Soviet era that prohibited the capacity of any expression of freedom that was misaligned with the party line. There wasn't really much choice going on, and the luxury of that environment, and I mean it, not in a sarcastic way but in a true way, the luxury of that is that when you have your freedom completely limited externally, you understand that the most sacred place that you can keep away from anybody filthy's hands is internal world. And once you reclaim the sacred space inside your internal world, and once you understand the power of inner freedom, it is the best drug you can be addicted to, where you can go back, you can retrieve, you can recenter. And that is what I did subconsciously, right? I wasn't consciously competent. It's just something that looking back, I understand I was doing. I was protecting that space. And then I started dreaming and manifesting. And without being guided by any guru, stumbling forward, I kind of witnessed the power of holding on to the internal dream. I had a dream of traveling. You were not allowed to leave the country, let alone go into any country. You had to have an exit visa. And as I'm sitting here with you today, I've taught, trained, and spoke at 49 countries. Wow. I live in US, and so the country fell apart. The joke that I say is that I left, it couldn't stand the separation, and so it came unglued, and now they're fine. So of course I'm joking, but that's the premise of it all, right? And being born in a place where I had to redefine freedom, and then coming to a place of freedom, which is America, and understanding how many people have external freedom but are kept prisoners to their inner world. And I would even use a stronger word, slaves to their inner programming. And that just fueled my passion in connecting the two and saying, how do I empower people to reclaim their inner freedom so they can regain the outer joy? And in everything I've done, either in the beginning as a homeschooling mom who became successful in real estate while sobbing every night because I'm an introvert, to now running a global company with a phenomenal leadership team and a team of coaches, one day at a time, the question is, am I free? Is this building my freedom, or is it robbing me? Because the day I sell myself into inner slavery, I cannot guide anybody else to freedom. So that's in a nutshell the story.
No, that's so awesome. That's so interesting. I mean, that's a crazy story, but that is so cool, and it's a testament to essentially your willpower and your ability to grow, as a person, and really show that you can achieve whatever you want to really in life. But what can you explain, I mean, with what you have going on now, and I know you have, you developed this, quantum personal development, can you explain that a little bit?
So yeah, I have a PhD in metaphysics, which is a spiritual aspect of quantum mechanics meeting spirituality. Right? It's really cool. And when you understand the underlying universal laws, and from the law of gravity, you drop something, it falls. Doesn't matter what your mindset is. See, how do you explain the power of a mindset against the universal laws? That was my question. My question was, yeah, the mindset is very powerful, but what's up with gravity? What's up with electricity? Can you will force the electricity flow to stop? Just as a question, right? And so, what I've started looking into is, what are the universal laws that by working with the mindset works for you and not against you, and deciphering those and studying those. So the company You to Shine is founded on understanding the mindset as mental faculties, as parts of your mind, literally, which is imagination, intuition, perception, reason, memory, and will. You've mentioned will. Will is one of them. But then further understanding that each one of those faculties has corresponding laws, universal laws. And by learning how to continually master each law, you actually harmonize and master your mindset, and you can create a life of infinite miracles. That was the premise of redefining freedom. I'll give you an example. The first faculty is that of perception, and the first law under that faculty is a law of awareness. And so I often say, notice what you notice, because how you notice and what you notice is what you create more of. So if you're a single person and you want to have a romantic relationship, notice how you notice other happy couples. Are you like pissed? Are you saying life is unfair? Or I'm such a good person, why do I keep attracting? Like, notice what and how you notice, because the law of awareness dictates that that is how you create your reality. And so it's just a really joyful way of expanding that. And as we've created books and journals and apps and programs to meet people at different levels of financial capacity of investing into their growth, we've also noticed that, notice what you notice, that the team grew naturally. Every one of my coaches is a former student or client who has achieved freedom and joy in the area that they were pursuing, and believes in that, and as such are a living testament to the system working. And that is how You to Shine has been formed.
No, that's so cool. um Diving into that, something you mentioned, was personal freedom, finding freedom. What does freedom mean?
There's so many definitions of freedom that people understand. What I've come to understand it is, from both inner and outer world, is a beautiful balance between your rights and your responsibilities. On a political scale, right? I grew up in a totalitarian society where there were no rights. You just had a list of duties, and that's totalitarian society. Over the last few decades in the US, we've been leaning to, that's my right, that's my right, that's my right, with zero responsibility. So we've been walking away from democracy to anarchy. So when you're truly free, is you're very clear that every right you have comes with balanced responsibility that you're willing to uphold. And that when you are living from this place of freedom, of balancing your responsibility, ability to respond, with a duty or with a right attached to it, that not in any way you're going to infringe on the right of another. And so true freedom is that when you are free to be the very best who you've come to be, without bringing anybody around you down in any way.
I like that. And honestly, I mean, the way you put that, it does make so much sense, because people think freedom, because there's so many, like you said, like connotations or meanings or understandings of it. And people think freedom, especially in a business standpoint, is like, you could do whatever you want when you want, and it's like time freedom. It's like, that's one aspect of it, right? But also like I want you to explain like the rules of freedom, because I mean it was so interesting, because freedom doesn't necessarily mean that you could do whatever you want to whoever you want whenever you like. That's anarchy. That's not freedom, right? So can you explain that, the whole aspect of the rules and why there needs to be the rules?
So, looking at freedom as the expression of, let's look at since we work with quantum personal development, let's bring the energy aspect into it, because then we'll look into every aspect of freedom. But from the energy aspect of it, we're all one continuous energy field. Like it used to be woo. Now it's like, oh yes, quantum mechanics. Everybody's smartening up. Nobody's throwing stones in your back as much as they used to 20 years ago. I'm so grateful. This back has handled a lot of stones, right? But we understand that this physical matter that we observe actually is the vibrating energy, and that the energy does not stop, it continues. And so the boundaries between all of us create one quantum field. So in that respect, whether we want it or not, we are all one. And so what happens when we forget who we are and for what purpose we're born, one of the two things will happen. We'll go after somebody else's freedom and violate their boundaries, looking for ourselves outside of inner world. Or we will shut down and our boundaries collapse and we bring people into our energy. There are two very powerful concepts of lack of freedom. One is victimhood and one is predatorial. The best example is a narcissist dating an empath. That happens so much in today's reality, where a person who is a narcissist does not have respect for boundaries. They will crush and cross any boundary out there. While a person who's an empath energetically are living to understand other people, and so their boundaries dissolve. So very often a predatorial behavior will attract a victim behavior, and the freedom is jeopardized for both. So from the energy standpoint, from quantum energy field standpoint, you are free when you remember who you are and how you are to be in every circumstance. When your individual uniqueness in you to shine, Y stands for you and U stands for uniqueness. You start with you. You cannot shine the borrowed light. So you start with you, and then you remember your uniqueness. And then you go to number 2, which is a mode manifestation. You say, I choose to be who I've come to be versus not to be him, her, and so forth. And so the recipe for freedom continues. But you are most free when you truly are aligned with your divine, if you will, with your spiritual, with your energy blueprint, with your highest purpose for which you have been placed on this earth. And when you understand that, you're centered in your own healthy, ego-free greatness. You no longer compete with others. You no longer have to prove yourself to them or to destroy them to come out better. And that is freedom. Freedom is being who you are. On a tangent, I just taught on the law of magnetism. People misunderstand the law of attraction so much. So I'm going to give your audience the primary insight into the program that's been only paid up till now. How about that? You're in?
I'm in.
A really cool thing. And so the law of attraction is one part of the law of magnetism. So let's look at the magnet. A magnet, when it is strong, will have 2 poles. So the law of magnetism has the law of polarity, 2 poles, and it has the law of attraction, bringing in. When you take 2 magnets and you put proper poles, it'll attract things. What happens to the other side of the magnet? It repels things. In a world that is so terrified of being rejected, and in a cancel culture, we take rejection into resentment, and then we either regret it or we revenge on it. But when you understand the law of magnetism and you say, wait a minute, when I really am who I am, that means I'm going to attract people to me that are there for me to collaborate, to exchange. But it also means I'm going to start repelling people. People are not going to like what I have to say. And if your wound of rejection is not healed, if you don't get to celebrate, yay, people are disappearing, clients are leaving. So you cannot attract and create the life that you've come to create. And that's just one of the many laws, right? It's one of many laws and application of it. So people misunderstand the law of attraction. If there is attraction, there is something that's needed to be repelled. And when you are who you are the most, then and only then, you create a life that brings you most joy.
No, I love that. I mean, your uniqueness is a power, right? It is a power, but the polarity and the magnetism that's such an interesting like subject and stuff, because it makes so much sense, especially with the analogy and everything. When you actually just think about how magnets work, you're like, oh yeah, that it clicks. I mean, there's what are the like the 6 mental
Faculties?
yeah, faculties, and then like the because you're talking a lot about the laws and stuff, and then like the universal laws like that go along with them and correspond with them, because I know from some of the stuff that I've read that you put out there, like these are the things that with mastering them can really help transform like someone's life.
Yeah. So the 6 mental faculties are first perception, which is how you see yourself and the world. And I don't have my glasses on. I usually will put the glasses on and I'm like, no matter how gorgeous the world is, if your glasses are black, the world is black. So you've got to heal your perception first. You got to master the laws that heal your perception first. And then as you start perceiving yourself as a whole person, you can go into imagination. A lot of amazing speakers start with dream big. I got to tell you, if I think I'm little, if I wear I'm little and I'm undeserving glasses, my dreaming big will be just outside of my feeling very little. So because imagination is a reflection of your self-image, and your self-image is your relationship to your self-worth. And your self-worth goes back to how you perceive yourself to be. So from perception, you go into imagination. Now, perception is how you receive things. Imagination is how you send them out. So now you have a tuning fork. You have one side receiving, one side sending out. When you create a tuning fork, you are in tune. So you activate the 3rd mental faculty of intuition. Intuition is being in tune with what you're perceiving and what you're imagining. So people will say, oh, my intuition told me not to do something. And I'm like, well, it really depends on whether you're in tune with your higher self or whether you're on an instinct of run away and hide and stick your head in the sand, right? Your perception and your imagination together start polishing your intuition. From intuition, you go to the faculty of reason. For most people that are logical beings like me, you can see I love to translate spiritual into practical and have fun with it. So the danger of that and the journey that I had to overcome with was when your reason is stronger than your intuition, you will reason against it. And so when logically everything made perfect sense for me to buy a $70,000 company, the reason was so clear and the profit was so palpable, I ignored the little tiny feeling inside. Misaligned, shoved her down and bled 70 grand, only to be completely taken advantage of, right? And I wish I could say I learned my lesson. No, I haven't. Many more tens of thousands of dollars went into education of polishing intuition, right? And so, but when you develop your perception, imagination, your intuition through the laws that come with it, then you're ready to reason in favor of your intuition. You get an intuitive feeling and you say, what are the reasons to support it? And so, and you shed off the layers of victimhood of this doesn't happen for me because to be the cause. I am the cause. You become the reason for transformation versus you use reality as a reason for excuse of being stagnant. But it doesn't come before perception, imagination, and intuition. And then the 5th one is the 5th one is memory. So as you are as you're going through this journey, you activate a memory, cellular memory of the lessons that your ancestors have conveyed to you, spiritual memory, whatever your spiritual beliefs or lack of them there are. You start getting these beautiful insights, beautiful synchronous moments of alignment. You truly start remembering more and more of who you are. Once you commit with perception to discover it, memory comes in. You heal trauma through releasing things. You no longer remember. You pass through pain. You remember it through lessons. And as you polish your memory, your passion to move forward is lit up, and you step into the will. And that faculty of will, my favorite quote is by Seneca, who said, "Willing destiny guides them, unwilling destiny drags them." And so when you take your faculty of will, and by then you know how to step into alignment of divine will or quantum field alignment, there's there is the best outcome for everyone always. We either find it or we lose it. For any situation, there is an outcome in which everyone wins. And when your will is no longer will force, which is my way or highway, but becomes willpower, which is how do we align with the one will that there is. And that is in a nutshell, the journey of humanity, but it is also an individual path to freedom.
That was just like, it made so much sense. Something you did mention at the end, divine will versus quantum, or divine will versus quantum will, I believe it was. What's the
Yes,
difference between divine and quantum?
the language for your audience, because those that are spiritually prone will understand divine will. Those that are scientifically prone will get the quantum field oneness of expression. Just the translating the concept. How often do we fight over the concept versus just learning to translate it?
That makes sense. I didn't know if it was like level 1, level 2, if it was just like interchangeable, or if there was a different meaning
Great
behind it.
question. Great question.
Something else that that honestly I'm still the tuning fork, that the first 3 made so much sense, and then all of a sudden you just kept it going. I was like, dang. I was like, that makes so much sense. It's almost like the 6 stages of really understanding your mindset and understanding you. But something that I also saw that you mentioned is this concept of love, right? Life originating vibrant emotion. And how does that play a role in achieving fulfillment or achieving alignment or abundance?
Yeah. I think that the ultimate freedom is freedom to always choose love no matter what. That to me is the ultimate freedom. And so the way we define love is, as you've said, it's a life originating, vibrant emotion. If it adds to life, it's love. It's that simple. And if it takes away from life, no matter how it calls itself, it's not love anymore. It's survival. It's pain. It's wound. So when a parent hits a child and says, "It's because I love you," that isn't exactly true. But the love is coded that way. Think of our songs. Love hurts. No, absence of love does. But we fear love because we misunderstand it, because we've been subconsciously trained to not know how to be in the energy of love and how to work through it. And so the concept of surrender to love is the concept of understanding each human being as a combination of two coexistent, very important parts. I say, when I say I am me, little m, big E, little m is our mortal matter that manifests materially. I'm sorry, it's the body that needs to poop and eat. And until she's done doing those two things, she's a part of who I am. So the whole talk about I am just a divine energy, I'm like, I don't know. Try to hold your poop for 3 days. Come and talk to me. Come and talk to me about the divine energy flow. And so there's this little m. It is mortal matter. It is the particles that vibrate slower that do return to earth. It is the manifesting. It is wanting things without shame and manifesting them. You got to be clear on that. And because it is mortal, it carries with it the fear of death and such need for survival. And then there is a part of us that is a big E of me, which is eternal energy, the essence of expansion. Yes, we're all of that as well. And so there is an internal conflict 24/7 for the dominance over mindset between the two. Will my little M prevail at 11 a.m. or my big E? And the only solution is for your big E to love your little M, not to punish it, not to ignore it, not to deny it, not to shame it, not to guilt it, not to be afraid of it, but to welcome it. Be very aware of those parts of you and invite them to surrender to the higher energy, which is the energy of love. So that is the complete surrender to love. And for me, being Ukrainian, I often say while this war is still raging and hopefully comes to an end here, is that we don't surrender well, right? You see how well Ukrainians surrender. It is not in my genetic makeup. We do not surrender, okay? And so when I was in a sacred place for me and I was receiving this very clear guidance, which, to me, I say that the spirit was speaking to me, but intuitive reading, if you will, of you've got to master surrender. I was like, come on now. I mean, how can you be empowered if you surrender? I mean, and I'm sitting on the bench and I have this clear feeling. Now lift up your feet. So I lift up my feet. I'm like, I'm already, strange. So a little stranger doesn't make any difference. So I'm joyfully lifting feet off the bench. And the understanding comes very clearly. This is what surrender to divine will looks like. You're giving all your weight to the bench. You're trusting the bench to carry your weight. So when you surrender to love, you're not giving up your capacity, your talent, your feistiness in my case. You're just allowing for the energy of all creation to hold you and carry you through when you have no energy to do so on your own. And I think we don't talk about it enough. There's this hero story. Once I was broke, then I came with a genius idea. Now I live happily ever after. Bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. Every day, you have to face the little M. Every day is a hero story. When I didn't want to get up this morning because I got 4 hours, I have to talk to her and say, come on, babe, you've made commitments. It's a big deal for you. I love you. You got this. We're doing it. There we go. I surrendered.
I do have to say, I love your analogies and your examples. I'm a huge advocate for, even with my team and stuff, analogies and trying to give different examples. And honestly, when you said lifting up your feet, I actually lifted up my feet. I was like, where are we going to go with this? And then I was lifting up my feet, and then you hit me with the, basically all the way on the bench. And so I was like, wow, like all the way on the chair, like that, the complete surrender, like that makes sense. Putting all of that, into one spot and just being open to it. So I just got to give you a quick kudos for your different analogies and examples.
Thank you.
Honestly, everything that you've talked about, from the 6 mental faculties to, the concept of love and the little M, big E, and the freedom and everything like that, right? It all makes so much sense to me in terms of the mindset, in terms of, shifting your perspective and your perception and everything like that. But how do we shift from someone, or how would someone shift from limitation to essentially possibility? Because I mean, in my opinion, I think that's one of the biggest mindset blocks that a lot of people get held back by.
Yeah, let's do spiritual path and practical path real quick. So in a spiritual path, it is the shift of subconscious programming from not knowing that it's possible at all. So it's impossible. And then saying the next level is, it might be possible. It is very safe for your little M to say, it might be possible for me to be a millionaire. Might be possible. No pressure. No pressure. We're not triggering the wounded self. It might be possible for me to be a millionaire. So it might be possible. Second is, it might be possible for me. Most people do not make that gap. And they say, oh, it is very possible for somebody else. I'll use the millionaire because money is the language of exchange, right? It's very possible for them to be that because they use the reason against themselves. But then you say, it might be possible for me. And then comes the question, how do I make it more probable? How do I make it more probable? because the language of possibility is language of potential. But to bring potential into implementation, we need to translate possibility into probability. It is possible for me. So, impossible, it's possible for someone. Maybe it's possible for me. If it were possible for me, how would I, through my own uniqueness, make it more probable? Next question, what are the 3 minutes today that I can dedicate to making it more probable? And then you go into what I call quantum alignment, where you ponder for 3 minutes. What is one question to ask, one decision to make, and one action to take today to make this more probable for me? 3 minutes is all I ask. And that takes you from infinite possibilities to practical probability. And you look 3 years later going like, why did I even want 1,000,000? What a waste. Let's go for something that really matters.
No, I love it. Can you rewind real quick? You said the language, or the language is for possibility, or what was that little section?
Yeah.
Like that was so deep. I was like, hold on.
Yeah. So you take the potential of possibility, where it's just possible. So the steps are, it's impossible. It might be possible. It's possible for someone. It might be possible for me. How do I make it probable? How do I spend 3 days, 3 minutes a day, every day of making it more probable? What is one action to take, one decision to make, or one question to ask today to make it more probable for me? And ponder the answer. And the second you grab the answer, implement it. And so that's how you take the potential of possibility into practical, fulfilling implementation of probability. That's the spiritual path. Now, know where you are. And what I mean by that, in a practical way, you're either in survival, in stability, in success, or in significance. For different areas of your life, you're in a different stage of development. You can be in success in physical, health, and in complete survival in money. So first step is define where you are. Once you define for each area where you are, you're going to understand that to go, and I've learned this for this particular concept, I learned first from Brian Buffini. I like to give credit to the person who I learned things from. So to go from survival to stability, it's a change of habits. So if you are in survival in your health, a habit of drinking more water is going to be much more powerful than reaching for the high mindset. To go from stability to success is a change of mindset. That's why I say as coaching starts after therapy finishes, because therapy takes you from survival to stability, and coaching takes you from stability to success. One is the change of habits, the second is the change of mindset. And then our goal constantly is to remember how significant we are. So to go from success to significance is a change of heart. That I can tell you, looking in the eyes today, I do what I do because I'm called to, not because I have to, because I love people I do it for and with. And I lead a significant life as a result of that.
I love that. Honestly, dang. You could have taken the mic, dropped it, picked it up multiple times throughout this episode. Before we wrap things up, I mean, obviously your work is amazing, and today's episode has been a clear representation of that. But I mean, you've been featured on Forbes, you've been featured in CNN, Fox, ABC, NBC, and other things as well. So there's a lot of validity to what you're saying, but also it just makes sense. That the cool thing about how you explain things is you explain like the scientific part of it, and you explain like a little bit more in depth, and then you break it down into realistic steps or realistic understanding. So I do think that's so interesting. So I'm curious to see what this part is for you, because I like to wrap up with basically a final question, and that final question is on Victoria's legacy wall. Right? It's not a tombstone, right? It's a legacy wall. What is the one lasting message that you would leave on your legacy wall for the up and coming generations that you've basically learned along your life's journey?
She still loves.
Okay, explain a little bit.
Because love surpasses death, It is the energy that continues. And my daily alignment is to live every moment from a place of that alignment. And just because there won't be a physical body that is processing that energy does not mean that love will not go on as the eternal energy and as quantum physics proves it too. And so my tombstone will simply say she still loves.
I love that. Now, where can people connect with you? I know that you have a link and everything I'm going to put in the show notes, but where can people, connect with you and learn more about what you have going on?
So our site is u2shine.com, yu2shine.com, and there you can find which path of freedom you're seeking. Are you seeking freedom from being unforgiving? Are you seeking freedom financially? You can choose the path of freedom and see the alignment there. But we have an amazing free offer, which is mygiftoffer.com. So if you go to mygiftoffer.com, you will actually have 50 shifts, quantum shift guide. Those are limiting beliefs that I have witnessed in working with clients over 2 decades with the freeing subconscious programming and with a recorded technique that you can yourself take yourself from one limitation to a completely free flowing energy by using the laws. It will also invite you to join our free group where you're not going to be sold anything, but every 2 weeks, one of our coaches is doing a very powerful clearing for subconscious programming. It's freeme.group. You can go straight to freeme.group and join there. If you go to mygiftoffer.com and download the Quantum Leap ebook, if you need any help with it, you can ask in a Facebook group, and we've helped people, personally with that. Now, I always tell people, it amazes me how we all act so surprised. It's a business. It needs to be fueled. So there will be a monetary offer after you get mygiftoffer.com. You, of course, do not need to be purchasing anything, but I did want to tell you about that in 2 sentences because I'm very proud of it. Only there we're selling a program that is called Money Mastery, and it is an 8 video series of where I cover 35 universal laws of making money work for you. Those laws were first channeled as a part of our Empower-Me app, and then they went on to become a book, Prosper Me book, that's become a bestseller in 40 plus countries. And so that original, very raw video is there that tells you the universal laws irresponsible for working with money and the 3-step practical application for each one of them. And it is offered for only $97, nowhere else. So it's a genuine offer. You can have free Quantum Leap book, but if you're already there and if you want to work better with money, I highly recommend that.
I love that. All that will be in the show notes, guys. If you're watching on YouTube, it'll be in the video description. Make sure you guys share this episode with a friend. It does help bring your circle up because you are already here. You're bettering yourself. So make sure that you're helping your circle, your people, your tribe better themselves, because at the end of the day, that's how we get better. So I just want to thank you so much for taking the time out of your day, Victoria, for hopping on and dropping some knowledge.
Thank you so much. Thanks for creating sacred space. I want to give kudos to you. I don't think hosts get enough recognition, you guys. If you could just all pause and right now just think in your minds, I'm sending gratitude and appreciation and love to Devin. You do that, you will be sending energy of love. It'll bring prosperity to you, and he will feel for once that what he's doing is not in vain. So I appreciate you, Devin. Thanks for creating the space for us.
Thank you.
Vibes, only positive thoughts, just in the game of life, mindset causes shots. Got my mind on the prize, I can't be distracted. I stay on my grind, no time to be slack.